What's going on, everybody? John here with you. It's a Friday, January 16, 2026. How's everybody doing out there today? We're going to talk a little bit about the Dragon Quest VII Reimagined demo, but I also want to kind of bring you my initial thoughts from the November 2001 release in North America under Dragon Warrior VII. Now, let's put things in perspective. That game was very rough looking. It was ugly even at times. If you're like touching or something with your hands, you feel a bunch of rocks and cuts. That's what Dragon Warrior VII was like. The opening part of the story in Pilchard Bay takes about 4 hours before a battle even begins. Puzzles are very involved. If you like puzzles, that might be something you really like about Dragon Warrior VII, but it can be love or hate it. It takes a long time to level up in the job and vocation system when you get to it, and getting lost is at a premium. Now, in that perspective, think about what happened in North America at the time. You went from a Dragon Warrior 4, probably about 1993-94, in the stateside, and then the games were gone from 5 and 6. You haven't seen them for a long time. You get a little bit of revitalization at that point. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 comes out for the Game Boy Color in November 2000, and then 3 in July 2001. So from that point, the latest game being in July, going from November, from the games on the Game Boy Color 1, 2, and 3 in the Erdrick Trilogy to PlayStation, you would expect a significant bump up in terms of graphics and quality. And you just didn't get that. I thought that the series didn't advance well enough. I thought the game was very aged. Again, it was out in Japan for a while before it came over in the States. And as we said, that time lapse between Dragon Warrior 4, that was a long time. And in the back end of the Dragon Warrior 7 box was the Dragon Warrior 4 remake that was supposed to come out from Heartbeat. And that didn't release either. And that was in the back of your instruction booklet. So I'm going to talk about the graphics, content, the demo, and what's ahead, and be honest in my assessment completely to the Erdrick Trilogy, who I just put a review under. So when you're looking at the graphics, the diorama look that you have in this game suits something out of the Xbox 360 in Blue Dragon, does it not? That's exactly what it reminds me of when I'm looking at it. I'm not saying it isn't really wonderful to look at, but for a game that most people consider to be the black sheep of the series, I think that might be the design choice that you want to go for. I don't hate it at all. I'm not going to say anything negative about the graphics. It does look very nice, but I think it's very unique in that respect to the HD 2D remake that we just got in the Erdrick Trilogy. So I think it fits in this scenario in terms of what the game has meant on the original PlayStation. As far as the content in the demo, you get all the way through Ballymolloy. That's about 4 hours of content that you're going to get. So you're going to go through the initial puzzles, and on this in Pilchard Bay, as you're getting the puzzle pieces and getting things set and getting through your first trial, you get a fight. Never had a fight before in Pilchard Bay. There aren't supposed to be any monsters, so I know some people aren't going to like that. I'm, for one, am glad. I don't say I hate puzzles, but I'm glad that it's been sped up precipitously. I'm one of those ones probably in the minority that was glad that it was moved along and not at a snail's pace, because it doesn't take 4 hours to get into a fight. You could probably take about an hour, and then you're going to go ahead and get into your first fight and really jump into the game. So I like the fact that it's been sped up. I really appreciate it. I don't know if everyone is going to at this point. What else is in the demo and what we're going to see? So when you open up the menu of the triangle button on PS5, again, all this stuff's coming on an Xbox, Switch, PC. You can play the demo and all that. If you have a really nice rig on the PC side, you probably get all the best specs and see what it is, and I would check it out that way. But you can press the triangle button, it brings up the menu, and it's a little more simplified. Again, you'll have your main character, you got Kiefer and Maribel as well, and then you can just kind of, not point and click, but you can dink and dunk as far as your sword, shield, spells, everything else, and equip stuff from there. It makes it very simplified to be able to get in and out of the menus. Now, what I've heard people say, and I will agree with them on this, although it's never bothered me, that the menus can go pretty long, regardless of being able to scroll through items. This is kind of cutting down on all of that. Now, what you'll see here, when you get into a battle, you can still do your turn-based and everything else, and the auto battle is just going to do it for you. And you could say, John, that's cheap or a little bit too easy. You could say yes, but it also plows through the random battles a heck of a lot faster, and you can go ahead and get XP and kind of get back into the story content and shut down some of the grinding. So I do think that the option is there. I've taken advantage of it a lot in the demo. I really liked it. Just be able to kind of blow through some of those fights that you should be able to just get through already. Now, the one thing you notice outside where the tower is, especially in the demo, there are a ton of save points that recover your health and magic points. And I wasn't afraid to use them all the time if they were going to be there. I think it might be a little bit too easy. That might just be at the beginning of the game in the way that it is. But initially, when you start up, you are allowed to change all of your stuff within gold, experience, monster encounters, whether they attack you. Put it to none, whether they even attack you on the map, or you can put everything on low, medium, or high as far as your amount of gold, XP, and everything else. Now that completely customized. So if you are getting rocked by certain bosses, you will be revived after a battle with 1 HP, or maybe you can turn on invincibility and vulnerability against the enemies if you want to make it as easy or as hard as you want to. I always leave everything on normal. I really don't want to play any of this stuff on easy, but it's there if you want. I think in a way, considering, as I said, with the pacing of the game, it's usually slow in the initial release. This is kind of an olive branch to be able to adjust it as much as you want. Allow you to be able to get into this game, this reimagining, as fast or as slow as you want to be. The hammerhead that you saw there is another one of those new additions in the game, not the enemy itself, but if they glow and they're attackable on the map, it allows you to fight a harder version of that specific enemy and gain a medal and equip it with one of your characters. It allows them to get maybe, dodge more critical hits, be able to throw more, be able to get through some weaknesses of certain enemies. We'll have to see how it works in the demo, but you're looking at the menu right there. So you have, everyone only has a cypress stick for me. I didn't buy any new equipment, but you get your sword, shields, your armors and everything else, maybe a couple hairpins or anything else that you'll find. I did get a couple mini medals in the demo itself, so we know that that's going to transfer over as well. And the one thing, whether you like, dislike, really like the game, or whatever you're going to feel about it, at least throughout this 4-hour demo, your progress will transfer over to the main game, and this main game is going to come out pretty much in the middle of February. So it's right there for the taking in this demo, and I think this is at least worth a playthrough. And if you've never played an RPG before, and I said the same thing amongst the Erdrick Trilogy, you really don't have anything to complain about because it's free. So check it out and see if you enjoy it. Now, what I did notice in this game especially, again, you have the same art style as far as DQ8, DQ9 and the damage on the screen, but you're allowed to be able to psych yourself up a little bit. It happens a lot. I would say after every few turns you get psyched up, but it really kind of dissipates quickly. Now, if you hold on to it and you can kill the enemy within 3 turns, you can bring it up into your next battle, which is pretty cool there, but it allows you to kind of activate it a little bit more without it doing as much damage, if you catch my drift. The one thing I've noticed too throughout this game is you're also able to favorite your equipment in the menus. So rather than scrolling through some of the stuff, yes, you still have to have everything on hand with you. But unlike the Erdrick Trilogy 1, 2, 3 HG2D, every single teammate there, when you're talking about the main character or the Prince of Cannock or the Princess of Moonbrook or the Princess of Cannock, all have their own inventories. In this one, you all have a shared inventory. So I kind of wonder at some point if your characters are going to run out of space. I believe you're probably going to have up to 4 characters in your party. Now, initially, when I played in 2001, I really gave this a long go-through. On the PSX release, I went about 60 hours, but I just got so fucking bored of it, I had to stop. I didn't enjoy it at all. Now, this game in the reimagining, I can definitely put it down, unlike DQ 1, 2, 3, the HG2D and the Erdrick Trilogy. That I couldn't put down, especially 2. This game I can put down, but Dragon Warrior 7 on the PlayStation initial release 2001, and I want to throw my controller against the wall in disgust. I didn't want to play it anymore. This I was still able to pick up, kind of get some bits and pieces, and I think it's going to lead me like a rat to a piece of cheese. The more I play it, the more I think I'm going to enjoy it. but I can't tell you initially from my thoughts, yes, the game looks a lot better, if I want to buy it off of the initial release date. I still feel like, to me, this game is going to be wait for sale. Now, my other question to you before this ends is whether you like the diorama style of graphics in DQ7. Again, I think it fits this game perfectly considering it's going in a completely different direction from 1, 2, and 3. But I gotta be honest with you, as good as the HD 2D remakes were, I kind of want to see the Zenithian trilogy of 4, 5, and 6 be made in that same style. For those of you guys that have already gotten sick of 1, 2, and 3 and you want to see it completely different like this, I can totally understand that. I'm just kind of hoping that 4, 5, and 6 follows that same marker, while Dragon Quest VIII, I'm hoping at some point, is the next one to get done, whether it's a HD 2D, not a HD 2D touch-up, but a touch-up to leave it in cel-shaded graphics and keep it as badass as it was, add more voice acting and kind of beef up some other things. I don't think they got to do a lot to DQ8, but I'd love to see that be next. I don't want to see DQ8 in this art style at all. I want to leave that cel-shaded, but I am wondering whether or not 4, 5, and 6 is going to end up in this same art style, and whether or not we finally figure out something for Dragon Quest XII, because aren't we supposed to be now around the 40-year anniversary for DQ? So, I mean, for those that wanted DQ7, I'm not going to say I hated the demo at all. I just have my reservations. It didn't completely sell it for me, like a lot of you guys are saying, but I want to know initially what you think. Facebook.com/JohnRaynaudX at that same spot. And what do you think? Are you a little more jaded like myself when you played this initially in the 2001 release for the PlayStation? Or did you really enjoy the demo for what it was? Did you like the reimagining, the new graphics? Did you think it took away from the puzzles and everything? Well, I want to get your initial thoughts. Let me know what you think. Leave comments, questions in the box below. I appreciate you guys. You take care. Peace.